Jeffrey Epstein preyed upon me. He put me in a vulnerable and dependent situation and took advantage of me. I was only 17 years old. I was a little girl. I still have flashbacks. It still hurts.
During that time, she met a number of celebrities.
It's difficult when you're that young to understand your worth as a woman through the men that I was around, and that was very traumatic. I don't think any of us have healed from that.
Two men, two empires. They operated in completely different orbits, catering to entirely different classes of untouchables. One brokered access to presidents, princes, and billionaires, whispering in the ears of the global elite. The other gatekept the world of platinum-selling artists, A-list actors, and star athletes, controlling the pulse of global pop culture. They seemed to occupy different universes, but behind the facade, they sold the exact same product. It wasn't just sex, it wasn't just drugs, it wasn't even access. It was leverage.
Why was he doing that? He clearly understood social engineering. He understood that rich people they can get anything they want, except the one thing they can't easily control is their reputation, because that requires other people's perceptions, and just being rich doesn't make you necessarily respected.
Each man lured the rich, the famous, and the powerful into decadent, isolated playgrounds. They engineered environments where the normal laws of society were suspended, replacing them with a culture of absolute, unregulated excess. And each man wired those playgrounds with hidden cameras. They built panopticons disguised as penthouses. Over the course of decades, they amassed terabytes of illicit footage, a digital vault of dark secrets, perversions, and crimes capable of destroying a legacy, a career, or a political campaign in a single keystroke.
I want people to pay attention in this story to how incredibly powerful Jeffrey Epstein was. He was more powerful than the Israeli prime minister and many world leaders and the heads of top banks. How did he accumulate that much power?
When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last time.
He had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house. And he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
In the intelligence community, this tactic has a name. They call it Kompromat. It is the Russian term for compromising material, collected for the explicit purpose of blackmail and extortion. This is not a fringe conspiracy. This is the true foundation of the modern power structure. The hierarchy of the entertainment and political elite is not built on demonic magic or generational talent or meritocratic hustle. It is an operating system built entirely on collateral. Jeffrey Epstein was the funnel for the global establishment. He was the gateway for the crown. Through his heavily guarded doors flowed heads of state, tech moguls, Wall Street titans, and acclaimed scientists. Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, they all boarded Epstein's private jet, infamously nicknamed the Lolita Express, to be ferried to his private island in the Caribbean. Epstein offered a specific kind of sanctuary. He provided a world of unregulated excess where the consequences of the real world could not reach you. It was absolute privacy to do the unthinkable. The island, the Manhattan townhouse, the Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, these were not just homes, they were honey traps, architecturally designed to lower the inhibitions of the most guarded men on the planet.
Why? Why are they so afraid of this guy? Why can't they talk about this guy? Anyways, so this guy dies. When he does, net worth roughly $600 million. $77 million was a Manhattan mansion that we're talking about, the most expensive private residence in Manhattan. $63 million was the island, the Little St. James. $18 to $25 million was a Zorro Ranch when we talk about 8,000 acres in New Mexico. $12 to $15 million Palm Beach Estate. Paris apartment, $8 to $10 million. Aircraft, roughly $10 million with the helicopter. Art, cash, jewelry investments, $300 million. This guy was 577. How the hell did you make that kind of money?
On the other side of the spectrum, Sean Diddy Combs was the funnel for mass culture. He was the gateway for the celebrities. The bad boy founder cultivated the image of the ultimate host, the man who threw the parties that defined an era. He hosted legendary invite-only soirees in the Hollywood Hills, Miami, and the Hamptons. The bait was different than Epstein's. It was draped in hip-hop culture, high fashion, champagne, and the promise of unparalleled industry access. But the underlying mechanism was identical. It was the promise of unrestrained excess in a quote-unquote safe, highly controlled private setting. No paparazzi, no unauthorized cell phones, just the intoxicating promise of zero consequences.
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
Not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
Went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it.
But there was a dark logistical reality to these gatherings that the public was never meant to see. In February 2026, comedian Katt Williams finally pulled back the curtain on this machinery. In a candid interview, he explained that he was never invited inside Combs' exclusive mansion gatherings. He refused to play the game. But he hung out in the parking lot at the bottom of the hill. He sat in the dark and watched the logistics of the trap unfold.
They would have these parties in the Hollywood Hills, you know, and then they would have a parking lot where they would shuttle people up. So everybody would meet in this parking lot and they would send shuttles down to, you know, Diddy's parties. And so I wasn't ever invited to the parties, but I was invited to the parking lot because I knew the people that ran the shuttle service. 5 hours later, I'm still in the parking lot when they come down. And just to see all them big time Hollywood men that I just watched go up there, they all come down off the shuttle and looking sad in the eyes, and all of them wearing Sean John and looking oily, and they all walk crazy like this, and their shoelaces were always untied. I don't know why. Their shoelaces were always untied. And then they would get in their car and they would drive off standing up. Big boy.
This wasn't a party, it was a processing plant. Epstein's island and Combs' mansion served the exact same utilitarian purpose. Isolate the influential, tempt them into extreme, boundary-shattering vice, and covertly record every second of their degradation. Once the footage is secured and safely locked in a server, the dynamic permanently shifts. The guest is no longer a VIP, they are an owned asset. But why would the most powerful, heavily protected people on Earth willingly walk into this trap? To answer that, we have to look past the parties and examine the dark psychology of what we call the Pharaoh Protocol.
He took me to the parties. He took me to the shit to make me understand this is why I don't be around this shit. Because, you know, you had a group of people that painted their fingernails black. What they call Illuminati now. It was some kind of clique then. And in this clique, you know, we wife swap and all this kind of shit. You can fuck my wife and stand there and watch. And all I seen it. I literally seen all these things, and it was like.
For years, rumors have swirled across the internet that these Hollywood parties are demonic. The culture is obsessed with the idea that the elite are selling their souls to the devil in literal satanic rituals, complete with blood sacrifices and occult symbols. The reality is far less supernatural and significantly more dangerous. The bizarre, degrading, and humiliating acts reported at these gatherings are not just magic spells. They are ancient, calculated psychological tools of dominance and submission. We call it the Pharaoh Protocol. Think back to the courts of antiquity, to the emperors of Rome or the pharaohs of Egypt. To stand in the presence of absolute power, you could not just rely on your resume. You had to debase yourself. You had to participate in rituals that stripped away your dignity. It is a blood oath of the modern era. You compromise your own humanity to prove that you can keep a secret. At Epstein and Combs gatherings, this protocol manifested as extreme sexual humiliation and the normalization of the taboo. If you strip away the sensationalism and the internet folklore, you are looking at a cold, calculated intelligence protocol designed specifically to break a person's will.
I don't want her to, go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody.
This protocol serves two distinct purposes. First, it is the initiation. Power requires absolute obedience. If a pop idol, a billionaire CEO, or a rising politician is willing to violate their own deeply held morals on command, if they are willing to engage in depravity just for a taste of fame, funding, or industry access, they have passed the test. They have proven they are compliant. They have shown the handlers that they prioritize their ambition over their soul. Second, it is the insurance. The hidden cameras are always rolling. The spy cam in the alarm clock, the lenses hidden in the mirrors. The initiates rarely know the extent of the surveillance in the moment. Many of these targets walk through the door thinking it's just a high-end networking event. They are young, naive, free-spirited, or simply blinded by the proximity to wealth. They take a pill handed to them by an idol. They take a drink. They cross a line they swore they never would. The next morning, the adrenaline fades. They wake up with a hazy memory of something they are deeply, viscerally ashamed of. But the handler isn't hazy. The handler has the receipt in high definition. Once you cross that line on camera, you are owned for life. The leverage is permanent. First, they entrap you with pleasure. Then, they extort you with fear. But who exactly is doing the extorting? Because the men throwing the parties were never the ones actually in charge. This brings us to the most uncomfortable truth of this entire investigation. Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Combs presented themselves to the world as apex predators. They sold the illusion that they were the masterminds, the genius billionaire investor, and the unstoppable hip-hop mogul. They were neither. They were middle management. They were human tools, groomed, funded, and protected to perform a very specific function for people much higher up the food chain. In the sterile, clinical language of the intelligence community, they are called assets. For years, high-ranking officials, journalists, and private investigators have speculated that Jeffrey Epstein was not a rogue financier, but rather the frontman for a sexual blackmail operation acting on behalf of an intelligence agency.
There's many people that feel like he was an agent, and that he was trying to compromise people. And that's one of the things about this whole Lolita Island thing, is that they would compromise people.
An agent
compromise
for whom?
Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of thoughts, but that's one of the things about when he got arrested. Was it the prosecutor or whoever it was that cut him the deal? Literally was quoted as saying, "I was told he's above my pay grade, and that he was intelligence." That's the quote.
Really? The intelligence thing?
Try to find that quote. Yeah, try to find that quote.
He's obviously Mossad. He's obviously CIA. This is part of a blackmail ring. Former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, just yesterday, who said unequivocally Epstein did not work for Mossad. Now remember, there are key terms here that matter. Work is not the same as asset or worked with or worked with at some time. And this is the master game that these people play, the non-denial denial. It's one of the most classic things in the history.
Most frequently, he has been linked to Israel's Mossad, though ties to domestic intelligence are just as prevalent. Look at his network. His contact list included former CIA directors. He inexplicably amassed billions of dollars without a single, verifiable source of legitimate income or a standard client roster. He operated with a level of terrifying impunity that defied the American justice system.
He was very good at networking. He was very good at getting in front of people in power.
When Alex Acosta, the U.S. attorney who handed Epstein an incredibly lenient, unprecedented plea deal in 2008, was later asked why he let a prolific trafficker off the hook, he reportedly gave a chilling, history-altering answer.
He said that he was told to back off of Epstein. He was told that Epstein belonged to intelligence.
That's what Alex Acosta, the prosecutor, says, that he was told about what he should do with the Jeffrey. Like, leave him alone because he's intelligent. Well, we're just kind of, the conversation just like ended. Like, we know now. I mean, if the prosecutor says, the federal prosecutor in Florida says that, then I think we can assume that that's true.
But if Epstein was the spy, Diddy was the informant. Within the dark corners of the music industry, this has been an open secret for decades. In 2024, Suge Knight, the former head of Death Row Records, publicly stated from prison, "Puffy been an FBI informant forever." It's a well-known fact in the industry.
Mike, not cutting you off, but he was an informant for years. Yeah. That's why when people was like, "Oh, he's gonna run," he's not. The reason why these type of people get caught up, they always been telling they bigger than the law because they part of the law.
While Knight is a highly controversial figure with his own violent history, you simply have to look at the timeline to see the truth. Combs survived decades of shootouts, federal weapons charges, bribery scandals, and violence in his inner circle without ever serving a day of serious time. He operated with a level of Teflon invincibility that does not exist for black men in America unless it comes with federal protection. But why? Why do intelligence agencies and geopolitical power brokers need handlers like Epstein and Combs? Why go through the trouble of wiring Hollywood mansions and Caribbean islands? The answer is easy: to control the culture. If you hold the tape on a beloved movie director, a viral pop singer, a president, or a member of Congress, you ensure that the most influential voices on the planet never oppose your agenda. You own the megaphone. You can call in favors. You can force them to endorse specific politicians to swing an election. You can use their highly publicized breakups or meltdowns to distract the public with frivolous spectacles on the exact same day the government is passing unpopular legislation. They become compromised and dance to the drum of the shadowy entities holding their darkest secrets over their heads. This is how the establishment manufactures consent. But this massive shadow economy of blackmail relies on one crucial element: physical evidence. So, where are the receipts? If this blackmail economy is real, there must be a paper trail. There must be a digital footprint. When the FBI finally raided Epstein's Manhattan mansion in 2019, they didn't just find massage tables. They sawed open a hidden steel safe. Inside, they found a massive plastic bin overflowing with hard drives, flash drives, and a binder full of CDs labeled with the handwritten names of the most powerful men in the world. When Homeland Security descended on Diddy's massive estates in Los Angeles and Miami in 2024, they didn't just seize firearms. They systematically dismantled the security camera systems. They seized boxes of electronics. Prosecutors later admitted they obtained data from over 40 devices and 5 cloud accounts. We are talking about terabytes of Kompromat. We are talking about thousands of hours of high-definition footage. It is enough leverage to ruin hundreds of the most powerful politicians, executives, and entertainers on Earth. But here is the glaring, undeniable math problem. You cannot run a globe-spanning trafficking and extortion ring with just 1 or 2 fall guys. It is logistically impossible. Epstein entertained scores of VIP clients for decades. Diddy allegedly processed half of the Hollywood elite. So where is the client list? Where are the co-conspirators? Where are the enablers, the fixers, the pilots, and the recruiters?
Bro, where's the videos? They were telling us the videos are going to come out, incredibly high-profile people doing horrendous things, evil things. People are going to go to jail. People are going to be shocked. Why did they say there was thousands of hours of tapes of people doing horrible shit? Why did they say that?
Right.
Didn't Pam Bondi say that?
Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of trafficking girls, but to who? The prosecution successfully argued she procured victims, but not a single powerful man who participated in the abuse was ever publicly named, let alone charged. The clients were ghosts in the courtroom. As of early 2026, no massive ring of co-conspirators has been indicted in the Combs case either. The uncomfortable, terrifying reality is this: the authorities didn't seize those tapes to dismantle the blackmail ring. They seized the tapes to inherit the blackmail ring. They took over the leverage. By raiding Epstein and Diddy, the FBI and Homeland Security consolidated the market. All those compromising videos, all those dark secrets, and all that collateral are now the exclusive property of the federal government. The vault just changed ownership. And if you think the idea of the government protecting a blackmail ring is just a fringe internet conspiracy theory, you haven't been watching the news. If you want proof of the cover-up, look at what happened just days ago. We are watching the burial of truth unfold in real time, broadcast live on C-SPAN for the entire world to see. February 11th, 2026. The House Judiciary Committee calls Attorney General Pam Bondi to the floor to grill her about the heavily redacted Epstein files. The Department of Justice has been dragging its feet for years, fighting tooth and nail against a mandate to release the evidence to the public. The scene inside the Capitol is incredibly tense.
Please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice. Please know for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand.
The actual survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse are sitting directly behind Bondi in the hearing room. They are close enough to touch her. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle are demanding to know why the DOJ is protecting powerful men and why the names of the clients remain blacked out under heavy redaction ink. Watch how the top law enforcement officer in the United States responds.
Within 40 minutes,
Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a co-conspirator.
4,700,
Okay.
and we invited you
Shoot,
in.
gentlemen.
This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician.
She refused to turn around. She refused to look the victims in the eye. She refused to offer a single word of apology for the government's catastrophic failure to protect them.
It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize.
Instead, she called their demand for justice theatrics.
The American people have a right to know the answers to this. These are senior officials in the Trump administration. This is not a game, Secretary.
I'm Attorney General.
My apologies, I couldn't tell.
This is what a systemic cover-up looks like in plain sight. They are not even trying to hide it anymore. The establishment is telling the public, right to our faces, that the rules of justice do not apply to the elite. They are treating the victims of a trafficking ring as a political annoyance. They are broadcasting a clear, undeniable, and deeply cynical message. We're protecting our own, we hold the tapes, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. We like to comfort ourselves with the lie that we live in a meritocracy. We want to believe that our entertainers, our cultural heroes, and our politicians rise and fall based on their raw talent, their hard work, and our democratic support. That is an illusion. We live in a curated terrarium. The biggest flora and fauna in this cultural ecosystem are planted, pruned, and plucked, based entirely on leash length. And the people holding the leash are the ones holding the tapes. Meteoric rises in Hollywood are rarely organic. When an artist skyrockets from absolute obscurity to global superstardom overnight, dominating the radio, the algorithms, and the awards shows, it is often because they have passed the initiation. They are executions of leverage. The star went off script. They defied the hand that fed them. They thought they were bigger than the program, and boom, the tape drops. The shadow is exposed. The career is over. The entertainment you consume isn't just about making music or filming movies. It is a highly sophisticated machine designed for manufacturing compliance. It is built to keep you distracted, divided, and unaware of the true currency of power operating just out of frame. The next time you see a legend self-destruct overnight, or a new idol crowned by the industry machine, don't just read the headline. They have proven they are compliant. They have handed over their collateral. Likewise, when you witness a beloved public figure suddenly self-destruct, when the allegations flood out of nowhere, when the media turns on them in unison and they are erased from pop culture in a flash, you need to understand that these are not random falls from grace. Don't just consume the gossip. Look deeper at the mechanics of the trap. Ask yourself, who holds the tape? This is Redline Theory. Thank you for watching.